You're listening to episode 83 of the Fierce Fatty podcast. Body positivity gone too far? Question mark. Let's do it.
Perfect.
I'm Victoria Wellesby, TEDx speaker, best-selling author and fat activist. I have transformed my life from hating my body with desperately low self-esteem to being a courageous and confident fierce fatty who loves every inch of this jelly. Society teaches us living in a fat body is bad, but what if we spent less time, money and energy on the pursuit of thinness and instead focused on the things that actually matter, like if pineapple on pizza should be outlawed, or if the mullet was the greatest haircut of the 20th century. So, how do you stop negative beliefs about your fat body controlling your life? It's the Fierce Fatty podcast. Let's begin. Hey Fierce Fatties, welcome to this episode. How you doing? How's life? Are you alright? I'm alright. Good. I'm really excited because I got my first vaccine. Oh yes, I got some Pfizer in my arms, and now I have 5G coming out of my eyeballs, and I got that lizard skin. It's really good. Now I've been tracked by the government. It's amazing. None of those things happened, in case any conspiracy theorists are listening and thinking, oh yes, we knew that would happen. No, I just got my vaccine and had a bit of a sore arm, some sore lymph nodes, and then the next day I kind of thought that I was tired, but I was like, am I tired, or do I think I'm tired because I think I should be tired? Who knows? But yeah, after a day, my arm was my sore arm was gone. I had a vaccine, a HPV vaccine, like a month or two ago, and my sore arm lasted like fucking 17 years. And so I was expecting that from this COVID vaccine, and it didn't happen. So I was like, yeah, this is amazing. And I got my vaccine in downtown Vancouver. The efficiency blew my mind. So they were vaccinating 4,000 people a day just in that location, and people arriving about 100 people every 15 minutes. And we were just moving through, no big deal. And they had like, everything was just so perfect. And at the end I got a sticker. So I was really happy about that. Got me a sticker. I also went on a bike ride with Louise Green, aka Big Fit Girl. She's one of my friends. If you don't follow her on the Instagrams, go and follow her if you want some movement from a fat person stuff. So I went with her and another friend of ours called Taryn, and we went for a nice bike ride on a Friday evening. Was it Friday? No, Saturday. Went around Stanley Park in Vancouver here, and we had dinner on a patio. It was so good. It was so nice biking with two other fat people, because Taryn's fat as well. And so afterwards they were like, oh my God, your legs are so strong. What? You were going so fast. And I was like, oh, really? Wow, look at these big strong legs. And it's cool it was so nice for me to cycle with fellow fatties, because I've always cycled with straight size people, and I feel like I'm a pretty okay cyclist. But then when I'm cycling with straight size people, so I used to cycle a lot with my ex-boyfriend and my sister, and my sister Kath is really into cycling, really kind of would go on a bike. She'd be like, I'm just going on a bike ride. And then, 4 days later, she'd be like, oh, I just whipped around. No big deal. I just did 1,000 miles, did it in 10 minutes. No. Anyway, and so I always felt like I wasn't good compared to them, that I, because I had to sometimes get off my bike to go up a hill and they were like do going up, and it kind of felt a bit like, I don't know, I don't know, what's the words that I'm searching for? Like, it's not their fault, but it was just really nice to be with fellow fatties who were going the same pace as me, and you know, just, it was just really nice. So if you have the opportunity to go and hang out with fellow fatties and do things, then I suggest that you do, because obviously you already know this, that fat people are awesome. So yes, yep. Now, for this episode, I have watched some really fucked up shit on the internet. Some really fucked up shit in incognito mode. So hopefully I'm not going to get targeted by a ton of diet ads or have these videos recommended to me. But I watched videos from anti-body positive people, anti-fat people, to see the arguments that they were using to kind of debunk body positivity or fat positivity, to see if they had any, if they were legitimate, and see if they had any good criticisms so that I could talk about them. And so in my research for research for things to do for this podcast, I will research what people Google, right? And so in regards to body positivity, intuitive eating, fat positivity, the types of things that people are Googling, so that I can answer your most common queries. And I know not everyone who is Googling it are fat positive people, but one of the things that has been on my list for a long time, and I thought, well, I'm not ever going to do that because I don't want to expose myself to the bullshit, is the Google search body positivity gone too far. And there'll be there's another one too. I might make I might put it somewhere in the so that when someone searches, this comes up. But there's another one, like fat positivity cringe compilation, or fat positivity fails compilation. So I might put that keyword string somewhere, so that if someone Googles it, they might have a lonely fat positive voice in the conversation around this stuff. Also means I might get targeted by trolls. Ugh. I don't want that, but I do want to reach people who maybe are on the fence. It's hard. Anyway, and not only that, some of you have watched these videos, and accidentally, and or maybe on purpose, and you might be dealing with people who believe the same stuff that these fat creators create. And so what if you're talking with someone and they say, but what about blah blah blah? I want you to have the information to be able to say, oh, well, actually, did you know blah blah blah? And so you're not struggling to deal with those types of people, or even have those thoughts yourself. So you could be thinking, but what about XYZ? And so this podcast is all about helping you navigate that world of fucked up bullshit. And so I watched some videos. Oh, don't go on Google this shit, okay? Because it's not good for your mental health. Really, it is not good for your mental health. And if you're not in a really good place with this stuff, then it's probably going to be triggering, and you're probably going to feel bad afterwards. And it's only, I didn't actually, I'm talking about how these videos are awful and stuff. I was able to actually hear what they're saying and be like, oh, okay, interesting. All right. And look at their criticisms, because they were so out there that it was kind of silly or funny, or versus the stuff where people are more uninformed, and they're kind of they're just an average person, and they come out with fat phobic shit. Then that can sometimes be like, oh my God, a little bit more difficult to deal with. versus someone who's really like clearly does not know what they're talking about. So the biggest thing that I came across, and I'm going to be, by the way, trigger warning, I'm going to be sharing some of their quote unquote arguments against fat positivity and body positivity in this video. And so if you don't want to hear those arguments, I say arguments in a very kind of loose sense. Well, they are arguments, I guess, but they're not good arguments. I'm going to immediately quash them. So if that doesn't feel good for you today, then skip this episode. But the main thing, the main big, massive thing that I saw with all of the videos that I watched, the big thing was people don't know what body positivity is. And it's not like they don't know as in they think body positivity is about loving your body and they're confused about that. And actually that's body love, and body positivity is actually started by fat people, fat, black, queer, trans folks who say, hey, let's not be dicks to marginalized people. It's not that they don't know that bit. They don't know, they're not even close. They're not even in the same country of what body positivity is. And so I'm like there with my pen and paper ready to be like, okay, well, they say, here's a really good argument against body positivity that I can be like, oh yeah, that's a really good point, and blah, blah, blah. But then I'm watching these videos and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, what? Okay, so the confusing about what body positivity is, I'll tell you about one of these videos, but I want to tell you about like what this is, okay? So the talking about, they say, okay, this one video says, this is why I hate body positivity, okay? That is the title of the video. This is why I hate body positivity. And then proceeds to a straw man argument. Now, let me tell you what a straw man argument is if you're not familiar with it. A straw man, so this is from Wikipedia, is a form of argument and an informal fallacy of having the impression of refuting an argument, whereas the real subject of the argument was not addressed or refuted, but instead replaced with a false one. One who engages in this fallacy is said to be, quote, attacking a straw man. Okay, so that's a lot of words. Let me give you the example. So this video titled, "This is why I hate body positivity." Okay, so the video was about whether you should sleep naked in bed with your teenage children. Yeah. Okay. So then this is why I hate body positivity, because the video was about whether you should sleep naked in bed with your teenage children, and then went on to talk about a Dutch show, there's a Dutch TV company that has made a show talking about educating children about the human body. And instead of looking at drawings of the human body, they have humans standing in front of them. And so they'll have like a life drawing class. And so the children are looking at real life naked people. And so there was an article written about this TV show saying, we are doing this to encourage body positivity. Now, that's sleeping in bed with your teenage children naked, and a TV show being made, and then someone had written about the TV show saying this is body positivity, and so this person has read this article that says this is encouraging body positivity, and has just taken it for face value that is what body positivity is, and it's not. And so the video is like, no, we shouldn't sleep in bed with our teenage children. Like, body positivity is so fucked up if they think that and basically suggesting in the whole video that that body positivity is all about sexually assaulting children. it's not. In case there was any confusion there, it's not. Body positivity stems from fat positivity, which is saying, hey, fat people and marginalized identities should have the same rights and freedoms as any other body size. And so people are like outraged. Oh my God, this is terrible. Oh, these body positive people are all trying to force naked people onto children like that. And look at those children. Some of them are like 10 years old. This is terrible. And so I'm like, what the fuck? This is not body positivity. And the same guy, so something that he, a big theme is kind of appearing kind of moderate. And so starting his videos with things like, this is a quote, "If you want to be happy with the body you got, all the power to you. But don't put it out there for everyone else, encouraging others to lead lives that aren't overly healthy." And so that statement is kind of like a general, like fatphobic statement, nothing too offensive, right? So they sprinkle in niceties, and obviously that's still, problematic, but they sprinkle in kind of niceties like that, and then say extreme things. And so people will be like, well, hang on, they said that it's good to love your body. So, just because that they said that this person was a disgusting piece of shit, then, but they support loving your body. And it sounds like a lot of what these people are saying is they think that people should be happy in their body. So it sounds like even with the most extreme people out there who are anti-body positive, that they actually kind of are body positive, but they're just confused as to what body positivity is. And we see this a lot with lots of different things, people using the straw man arguments, like feminism. Well, I'm not a feminist because I don't hate men. I was like, well, great, because feminists don't hate. That's not what feminism is. It's saying that, hey, maybe we should treat all genders equally. That means that men should be treated equally as women. So, in times where men are not treated equally, so for example, in family situations like family court things, that's not appropriate. Or gender stereotypes around men, saying men have to be the breadwinners and all that type of jazz. That's not appropriate, right? And so feminism is saying, hey, let's break down all of those gendered roles and let's just make sure that everyone's treated equally, and it doesn't matter about their gender. But people would be like, well, feminists are just about, they just want to murder all men. And it's like, is that true? Not really. So here are the other ways in which they get confused about what body positivity is. So first one is they think that body positivity is about telling people that they aren't fat. So body positivity, this is what I've seen in my collection of information, is it's about a fat person says, oh, I feel I'm fat. And body positivity is saying, you're not fat, you're thin. And so denying people's realities. That is not what body positivity is. In fact, it's probably the opposite, right? They think that if we believe that Black Lives Matter, and so they're saying, if we really did believe that Black Lives Matter, then we would shame fat Black people into being thin. So, see how that's like... that if we really were not racist, that we would shame fat Black people into losing weight. And so body positivity is encouraging racism because we're not shaming fat Black people, telling them to lose weight. like body positivity, like all is racist anyway, because it's just filled with white people, right? But this is one of their arguments. Next one, that body positivity isn't important because, get this one, body positivity isn't important because out of the population, there aren't that many trans folks. Yep, you heard me right, where this is going. Body positivity isn't important because there are hardly any trans folks. This is their argument. Instead, we should care about other things more. And I know your brain is going, what? What the fuck? What? And so we should not care about body positivity because, okay, so there are hardly any trans people, their words, therefore, there are more important things to worry about. What? Okay, so the next one is, there should be a middle ground. And so this is a logical fallacy. Again, there should be a middle ground. So this is what they think. Don't tell fat people they are fat, because that's mean. But don't tell them it's okay to be fat. Just shame them the right amount. Okay? Don't be mean and tell a fat person that they're fat, but you should shame them and tell them that they're fat so that they lose weight. So, quote, this is from a different creator, if you love someone enough, you'll tell them the truth. You're so caught up with coddling people, you're not telling them the truth. So, but the thing is, it's not actually the truth. Like the truth, like, oh, you're so fat, you're about to die. It's not actually the truth, is it? It's an opinion. It just makes that person feel superior. And that person is caught up in their own biases and thinks that that's the truth and they're being helpful. And you know, you're so caught up with coddling people, you're not telling them the truth. Well, thank fuck for people who are telling us that we are fat and we are going to die any minute, because we have never heard that one before. I know. Is this new information to you? Yeah, it is to me too. Thank God I watch these videos, because I was walking around and I had no idea that I was fat. And I had no idea that people think that fat people are disgusting, are going to die at any minute. So thank fuck that these people are not coddling me anymore and telling me that I am a piece of shit. It's so nice. And so this is an argument to moderation. And so they're saying, well, don't be a massive dickhead about it, but still, don't tell them that their body is fine. And so they're saying, okay, so the options are tell them that it's okay to be fat, or be a raging dickhead. And they're like, well, the middle ground here is to tell them that they should lose weight. But do it in a nice way. Whatever that looks like. There is no nice way to do that. And so this is known as, this is from Wikipedia, a false compromise, argument from middle ground, and the golden mean fallacy. It's the fallacy that the truth is a compromise between two opposing positions. An example of a fallacious use of the argument to moderation would be to regard two opposed arguments. One person saying that the sky is blue, while another claims that the sky is in fact yellow, and conclude that the truth is that the sky is green. While green is the color created by combining blue and yellow, therefore being a compromise between the two positions, the sky is obviously not green, demonstrating that taking the middle ground of two positions does not always lead to the truth. You see this in political debates, right? And so you have the conservatives who are saying outrageous far-right things, and lefts saying, hey, why don't we just treat people like human beings? And they're like, well, let's look at the middle ground. Let's treat them like half human beings. When that's not helpful, right? Because a lot of people are conservatives, far right people are like, well, we hate all of these different groups of people and they should be banished from society. The looking at the middle ground there is not helpful, right? And so that is a big thing that they're doing is, let's look at the middle ground. And the middle ground is between an extreme and between something which is pretty rational, which is how about we just be good to people. So here is another thing that they do. This is a quote. Body positivity should be for people with birth defects, amputees, burn victims, etc. Okay, so this is kind of what I've mentioned this before. This argument that body positivity isn't important because there are hardly any trans people. Instead, we should care about other things more. And this one too, body positivity should be for people with birth defects, amputees, burn victims, etc. So that's a quote from them. So both of these are fallacy of relative privation. Fallacy of relative privation. This is a red herring fallacy. Okay, so the group of this is red herring. This is also known as appeal to worse problems or not as bad as. And so this is a logical fallacy. And so dismissing an argument or complaint due to what are perceived to be more important problems. First world problems are a subset of this fallacy. Okay, so let me talk about this more, because you see this all the time. Like, why are we encouraging fat people to be fat when there are actual people who need help with learning to love their body? People who are deserving and worthy. And you see that, like, you've probably experienced it tons of time. When you're at the dinner table, you better eat all your food because there are starving children in this world. There's that is the appeal to worse problems fallacy, the fallacy of relative privation. Okay, and so this is from this quote here that I'm reading is from academy4sc.org. I'll link to it so you can learn more about this fallacy. Quote, not all comparisons are necessarily fallacies. If you only have the resources to fix one problem, saying a different issue is, quote, not as bad as another is perfectly reasonable. In fact, the comparison in itself isn't problematic. The issue lies in asserting the original claim should be ignored because it is not the worst thing ever. I found this interesting, like the trend, like first world problems. And we do a lot of comparing our problems to others and saying, well, my problem doesn't count because someone else has it worse than me. Well, is that helpful? In the way when it could be helpful is, I have $100 and I have a leaky roof, or I want to buy a new TV. So there we'd say, well, which one is worse? Oh, the leaky roof. Let's fix the leaky roof, right? But if you then said, actually, not having a TV, that is so insignificant and stupid. You're ridiculous for even wanting a TV. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Other people in the world don't have a TV. Then that's when it becomes unhelpful. And so you'll see this a lot. You see this argument a lot. Why are we caring about the problems of fat people when other people are dying in the world? When some people have cancer? When animals are being treated cruelly? Well, it's a red herring, right? It doesn't mean just because there are things that are worse in the world doesn't mean that original thing isn't bad. Okay. So another thing that they talk about a lot is how body positivity hates fat men. And so the argument is if a man were to post a picture of himself with his shirt off saying all bellies are beautiful, then body positive women would attack him and laugh at him, because that's what body positivity is about. Now, it is a good argument to say that we only have, there's a lot of women in body positivity. Like, body positivity is like 99% women, right? That is a valid argument, and we should be representing all genders. And so, but people who subscribe to body positivity or fat positivity aren't like, oh, I can't wait for some stupid man to post a picture saying that he likes his fat belly because I'm gonna fucking rip him to shreds. That stupid motherfucker. How dare he do that? Because he's really fucking ugly. And so the premise is that what their argument is that it's only okay they think that body positivity is only okay to celebrate women, whereas women are judging men's bodies, women in the body positive community are judging men's bodies the same way as society is, but even more aggressively. So this argument is, if the video creator said if he were to post a picture of his tummy, women in the body positive community circles would laugh at him. But if he was a woman, then he would be classed as powerful and beautiful. That's a quote. And then he says, I'm tired of society. All these movements boil down to the phrase. So this is actually a quote from someone else. I'm tired of society. All these movements boil down to the phrase, equality for me, but none for these. Girls talk about body positivity, then laugh when a guy is under 5'8". Someone else says, women, we are body positivity activists. Men, I'm 5'6" and have a small d. Also women, laughs uncontrollably. So this is not what body positivity is about. Now, this is actually a good point. I like this one because some people who are new to body positivity or fat acceptance do struggle with unlearning all of this bullshit. And so we need to be unlearning this bullshit that says that men need to be X tall and men need to look like this, and other genders need to do this, and our expectations of gender, which is what body positivity is all about, is saying, hey, let's not do that, right? Let's not do that. But some people are still stuck in that, and it's difficult to get out of, and we shouldn't be doing that. And I don't think people who have really done the work around fat positivity, around learning to love themselves, would be doing this. This sounds like someone who is incredibly insecure, who would be laughing at a man who is 5'6" and has a small penis. That is not okay. That is not okay, ever. And I'm not going to say that never happens to someone who identifies as a body positive activist or someone who is a fat positive activist, that they don't adhere to beauty standards for men as well. But that's not what it's about, right? That is not what body positivity is about. And you notice how there is loads of sexism tied in here. All of this is threaded with sexism. Like, well, women are just going to laugh at me. Are they? Really? I don't know. The next thing is, they say, the thing that I hate about body positivity is that they shame thin people. No. Now, here's the thing though. Again, some people who are new to this thing think, some people, it's not often, but I have seen this, that some people will come into body positive communities and share a post like, real men prefer meat, not bones, and then saying bones are thin women, something like that. And when I see anything like that, then what I see is someone who does not understand the movement, who is trying to get self-esteem by being mean to other people and being cruel to other people, someone who is angry at thin people, and is just not that educated in this this sphere. And so I would never allow any shit like that in any of, you know, in my Facebook group, because I'll be like, what the fuck are you, why are you shaming other people? It is important, though, to recognize that straight-sized people have privilege. And straight-sized people sometimes, a lot of the times, are the problem when it comes to upholding fat phobia. And that is not hating thin people. That is criticizing society that says that thin people are better, and then thin people who don't want to acknowledge their size privilege. So, no, body positivity doesn't shame thin people. I guess we might shame thin people if a thin person was like, I'm thin and being thin is the best thing ever and fuck all you fat people. We wouldn't shame them for their size, we would shame them for what they were saying. So body positivity isn't about shaming people for their size. It's the opposite. Also, that we hate anyone who loses weight, especially celebrities. So in one video I saw, Lizzo drank a shake. I don't know what the shake was. I presume it's like, I think didn't Lizzo do that's what it was. She did a detox, okay? So Lizzo drank a shake, and this is what the person said. Lizzo drank a shake, and all of the body positive community is attacking her, saying she is cancelled. So here what we're seeing is the false dilemma / false dichotomy argument. And so the only two options the person sees is that the body positive community is bad and attacks Lizzo, and that not being body positive is good because they believe that your body is your choice. Okay, so what we're seeing here is a false dilemma. So there's two things here. Either you're body positive and you hate health, you hate all people who go on diets, or you're not body positive and you support people being healthy, and you believe that if you own your body, then it's your choice what to do with it. That's not the reality. Yes, there are people in the body positive community who get really upset when fat celebs do like diets and things like that, or lose weight. And it's really complex because, we don't have a lot of fat role models who are happily fat. Now, I did a whole episode about celebs losing weight, or, fat people in the public eye losing weight, and how it's problematic to criticize them. It's okay to feel sad and be like, oh, that's really sad that person, I thought they were body positive, but actually turns out that they're a human just like the rest of us, and they are still working on their body image issues. And they never actually said that they were the body positive icon of the world. We gave them that label because they happen to be fat and in the public eye. And what other pressures are they going through? We don't actually know. So actually, their body, their choice, they can do what they want because it's none of our fucking business. So I did a whole video about that. But then also, it's okay to feel sad when if a fat person that you loved has become temporarily not fat. It's totally valid to also feel sad. But it isn't, see how it's shades of grey versus black and white thinking. Like, we just, the idea, but what people are saying is body positive people just love it when people are unhealthy, and we're just like, be unhealthy, and how dare you try and be healthy? You're a piece of shit if you try and become healthy. That's not true. Okay, so all of those were under the getting confused about what body positivity is, which is a straw man argument. Okay, so if someone says, well, body positivity is wrong because you shouldn't say to fat people that they are thin. Well, you can be like, well, that's not what body positivity is. Body positivity isn't going around telling fat people that they're thin and trying to convince them that they're thin. Like, what if you want to argue about the merits of fat positivity or body positivity, let's talk about what it actually means. Like that people in all sizes should have equal access and rights, and not be discriminated against because of their size. That is it. Like, let's talk about that. And if you believe that, yes, people of all sizes should be discriminated against, then, you know, we can talk about that. But it's not, hey, I think that teenage children should sleep naked with their parents. It's a straw man argument. Because, of course, people are going to say, well, it probably is inappropriate to be sleeping naked with teenage children. That sounds a bit weird, right? And so everyone can get get behind that and be like, yeah, what the fuck? These body positive people are so fucking creepy. Well, no, that's not body positivity. So that's the big thing. Now, let's go into the other areas that they talk about. So the big thing here, apart from the straw man arguments, is that there is a weight limit to respect. And so a lot of people, they come in with that, coming from a place where they feel they're being reasonable, right? And so they're not being like, anyone who is 1 pound heavier than me is a bad person and should be off the planet. They're like, well, if someone is curvy, then that's okay. But when it comes to someone who is a super fat person or a medium fat person, then that is just gross. And it makes them feel better to say, you know, yeah, a few curves is fine because I see the value in that person as a member of society, as a sexual object. But if I don't want to fuck you, then it means that your size is too big and it's too horrible, and therefore you are a problem. So if I can't consume you or, you know, objectify you, or society uses you as a cog in the machine, then you are not worthy to me in my eyes. And it's all about the perceived value of the fat person. And if they're very fat, then that person genuinely believes that the value of that person is less than a thinner person. And there are so many systems at play with this argument. Humans being machines, only worthy if they are producing in a way that society says is worthy. It's healthism, it's fat phobia, it's sexism. And the truth is, obviously, humans are inherently worthy, full stop. It's also ableism. Like, it's all, so when people are saying, you know, there's a limit to respect, there's a limit, like this is just too extreme, you know, well, someone's like this much bigger than me, then therefore, like, whoa, they're extreme, and they must have done something terrible to get to that place, and they are someone that I can no longer consume, therefore they have no value as a human and they should stop being who they are, which is bullshit, right? Another thing is thinking that science doesn't apply to them. So they poo-poo science that invalidates their stances rather than having a nuanced view. And they cherry pick data. And like shitty data. They'll be like, I saw a study that was done on, I don't know, some shitty website. You know, I saw someone had written in the men's bathroom that 2 out of 3 fat people eat babies. And so I took a picture of that, and that is a legitimate study. And you were like, what? You saw it written on a bathroom stall. Is it true that 2 out of 3 people eat babies? 2 out of 3 fat people eat babies? How many people were in the study? Was it peer reviewed? When was it done? Did you control for different factors? Like, no, well, no, it's science. So cherry picking data and using really like dodgy sources. And when confronted with data, like the big one, like, I think a lot of people are now in agreement that diets don't work. I don't think that is that controversial anymore. But with these folks, it kind of is, because they are like, well, I became thin. They're a previous fat person, which is like the worst type of fat phobe. Well, I became thin, therefore diets do work. And that goes back to anecdotal evidence. And so another, there's a big anecdotal evidence. And if someone is using anecdotal evidence, then it's like a red flag. So here are some of the things that I saw. You don't see old fat people, therefore you must die before you get old. Or, you ever notice that all the fat positivity people are young? When you're young and fat, you haven't developed the major problems yet. Well, all the fat positivity people are young because of ageism, because it's easier for younger people to get the spotlight, because less older people are doing this work because of ageism. And and so this is anecdotal evidence. And I see it all the time, like on my posts. If I can just go to my Instagram right now, and someone would be like, well, my dad lost weight one time with this diet, and therefore this diet must work. Okay, well, what do we know about your dad? Like, how long has he lost the weight for? Was he ever that weight? Is that his set point weight? Does he have other things going on? Like, it's anecdotal evidence. The next thing that they talk about is the fact that we have, quote unquote, given up. And so this is presuming that learning to accept your body is super easy. FYI, it's really fucking hard. It's presuming that living in a fatphobic society as a fatphobe is fucking rainbows and fairy tales, and that we walk down the street and people are clapping and cheering, saying, good for you for being fat and accepting yourself. It's the opposite. And it's the opposite of giving up. It's not giving up. It is, I feel like it's being really curious and inquisitive, and looking at the evidence of what's happened in your life, and have you been able to get thin, and what did you have to do to get thin, and the reality is that a lot of people have tried everything under the sun, and now this seems like they're so dedicated to wanting to feel better in their body, they're now trying this other thing, which is really hard. How easy is it just to say, I'm going to go on a diet, and have society be like, good for you, finally you're taking control of your life? That is easy. We are able to starve ourselves, no problem. We have many times, and depending on your story, like, you've done that. And is this a walk in the park? Is doing this work really easy? Or is it so fucking hard? Giving up would just be like, do you know what? I'm just going to go along with diet culture and just keep dieting the rest of my life. That to me sounds like giving up. Next is appeal to ridicule. So this is mocking or stating that the opponent's position is laughable to deflect from the merits of the opponent's argument. So one person said, it feels like a cult with the sole purpose of enabling each other and denying reality together. So that is ridiculous, right? Like, look at these ridiculous cult body positivity people, right? And if they're ridiculous, then if someone's ridiculous, we should ignore their arguments. And then this same person goes on to say that they have an eating disorder. And so I'm like, so it sounds like you're really struggling with this stuff. And it sounds like you could really benefit from learning more about actual fat positivity, which is a shame, right? Because they think that body positivity and fat positivity is so fucking out there that they are not looking at it, and it's something actually that could really help them if they have an eating disorder. Next, we shouldn't have fat people on magazine covers because it promotes unhealthy lifestyles. And we definitely shouldn't be doing it in the pandemic. All right? So this is an argument which is kind of slippery slope feeling. Slippery slope. Let's talk about this some more. So also correlating causes of death with weight. So cancer is a high cause of death. And then they say, well, being fat causes cancer. Heart disease is a cause of death, and only fat people get heart disease. Strokes. Well, strokes, that's for fat people. Straight-sized people don't get strokes. And then in this argument, this video creator, using an article from the Daily Mail, and the Daily Mail is a British newspaper which is absolute garbage, piece of shit, trash, right-wing bullshit. So using an article from the Daily Mail saying that fat people don't live as long as evidence to support their argument. And so the Daily Mail, and it was like a thing from like 16 years ago, the Daily Mail says fat people don't live as long. That's their evidence to say that fat people are dying, and it's all the fat people's fault. And so the argument that if we celebrate fat people, by putting them on magazine covers, then it's a slippery slope, because before long we know it'll be seen bad to be healthy. If we put fat people on the cover, we'll start celebrating fat people so much that if people want to be healthy, we'll laugh at them and we'll tell them it's a bad thing to be healthy. And then everyone will be dying earlier. And so everyone is going to be getting cancer because we put someone on the cover of a magazine. So that's slippery slope. And it's also a circular argument. So, for example, the Bible is true, therefore everything in it is true. So that's a circular argument. And so we all know that fat is unhealthy, therefore it's unhealthy to be fat. It is also a hasty generalization. That's another style of argument, hasty generalization, which is everyone knows. Everyone knows. And so this one is a real whammy of putting in lots of different argument types to make up one big ball of nope. Also, talking about the fallacy of the single cause. And so this is casual oversimplification. So this is from Wikipedia. It is assumed that there is one simple cause of an outcome when in reality it may have been caused by a number of only jointly sufficient cause. So that is, if people get cancer, if people have strokes, if people have heart disease, it's because they were fat. What about the thin people who got those things? No. It's the fat people. They were just the unlucky few thin people. It's fat people. Oh, people die. People die every year from different things. If they're a thin person, they died from whatever. If they're a fat person, they died from being fat. It's that casual oversimplification versus looking at it and being like, okay, what else is going on here? Another big thing that they're all about is healthism. So a quote from someone, I'm okay with any shape or size as long as they're healthy. This is normalizing, quote unquote, O word, which isn't healthy. Do we want to be healthist and ableist and presuming that the size you are dictates your health? Nah, it's not something we want to do, and it's not based in evidence, in science, in good arguments. It's just So, just so you've got this, all right? Has body positivity gone too far? The people who are anti-body positivity or anti-fat acceptance have some key things that they do to try and dismantle the idea that it's okay to be fat and that fat people should have the same rights and access as any other body size. And the main thing that they do is confuse what body positivity is. And so they use the straw man argument. And so this is what we're talking about. One guy is talking about how one guy made a video about how some people think it's okay to sleep in bed with their teenage children naked. And he said this is bad, therefore body positivity is bad, even though this has nothing to do with body positivity. And so that is a straw man argument, saying it's bad to sleep naked with your children, your teenage children, therefore body positivity is bad. Well, that's not what body positivity is. Other arguments is that body positivity is about telling fat people that they're thin. Nope. That we should, that fat positivity, body positivity hates fat men. It doesn't. We love fat people of all genders. That fat positivity, body positivity hates all thin people. We don't. That we think that anyone who loses weight is a piece of shit. That is not what body positivity or fat positivity is about. They also use the argument to moderation, which is saying we shouldn't be absolute, disgusting, horrible human beings to fat people, but we should still tell them, we should instead tell them that they need to lose weight, but do it in a nice way. And so the appeal to moderation is one side says, hey, let's be kind to people of all body sizes. And then the other side is, let's be horrible to people of all body sizes. And they go to the middle, appealing to moderation, saying, well, let's not encourage people to be fat, and let's remind them that they're fat, and because they're fat, they're going to die, and that they should lose weight. And so that's not really helpful, is it? They also use a juicy red herring argument called fallacy of relative privation, which is also known as appeal to worse problems or not as bad as. And so they say, we shouldn't be so focused on fat people and giving fat people their rights because there are more important problems in the world. And of course, there's always more important problems than whatever problem that we're trying to work on. But this is a red herring argument. Just because there are other things that are important doesn't mean we shouldn't also focus on the things that are not as important. There is a lot of use of anecdotal evidence to prove science wrong. And so looking at all the science to support fat positivity / body positivity, they say, well, that is not true because I know one person who lost weight this one time. My Uncle Barry lost 14 pounds the other day, therefore your science is not valid. That is anecdotal evidence. There is also a lot of the slippery slope fallacy. So if we put fat people on magazine covers, then everyone's just going to think that it's great to be fat, and everyone's going to get fat, and then everyone's going to die within the next 5 minutes. And so if you put a fat person on a magazine cover, then you're basically killing the whole world. That is a slippery slope fallacy. They also use the hasty generalization fallacy, which is the everyone knows it's unhealthy to be fat. Everyone knows. Which is also tied in with the circular argument, which is we all know it's fat. Fat is unhealthy, therefore, to be fat, therefore, it is unhealthy to be fat. And finally, fallacy of the single cause, aka casual oversimplification. So it is assumed that there is one simple cause of an outcome. So if a fat person dies, it's because they are fat. If a fat person is ever unhealthy, it's because they are fat. And so that person has more fat on their body, therefore they are unhealthy, versus looking at the nuance and shades of grey. And all And all of that is sprinkled with fat phobia, healthism, ableism, racism, and sexism, all intertwined with all of these different arguments against fat positivity and body positivity. So if someone is arguing with you against these things, a reminder to not let them do the straw man thing, which is saying it's bad to be body positive because body positivity hates all men. And you can say, that's not really what body positivity is. If you want to talk about the merits of body positivity, let's talk about what it actually is, which is saying that marginalized bodies should have the same rights as straight-sized people, that we should treat all body sizes the same, and we shouldn't discriminate against people because they have a marginalized body. Let's talk about that and not all of these other wacky things that you're coming up with. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. I had fun doing all the research for this one. This was, I was thinking about the research in regards to logical fallacies. But then I thought about the research, watching these fucking donkeys talking about how they hate fat people because fat people have laser beams out of their eyes and are, shooting down birds with their laser beam eyes. Yeah, that wasn't as fun, but I hope this was helpful. And a reminder, if you ever want to work with me, then you can do that in a couple of ways. You can sign up for one-on-one coaching with me. Go to fiercefatty.com/coaching to learn some more and submit an application, or you can join Fierce Fatty Academy. So you can go and find the waitlist at fiercefatty.com/waitlist. And I will see you in the next episode. See you in a while, alligator. See you in a bit, dog shit. All right, okay, bye. Thanks for listening to the episode. And if you feel ready to get serious about this work and want to know when the doors open to Fierce Fatty Academy, which is my signature program where I teach all about how to overcome your fat phobic beliefs and learn to love your fat body, then go to fiercefatty.com/waitlist. Again, that is fiercefatty.com/waitlist to get your name on the waitlist for when Fierce Fatty Academy, my signature program, opens.